Welcome, my Zentangle friends. My name is Emmy, and you're on the Zen with Emmy channel. I'm so glad you're here today for Mother's Day, and I have a very fun pattern for you. You know how I am. I'm using an oval again, but you do not have to use an oval to accomplish what I have. I've gotten all of my usual supplies all handy here, and I've already outlined them in the preview comments, including my handy eraser should I need it. But let's get started and let me show you the example. So then all will become clear, I hope. So what I've done is made a ribbon tangle around the outside, and the inside, this is a pattern called Quib that's by Headquarters. And this is more or less on the job training, and I think you'll be just fine with it. What I'm trying to do is the few artist classes I've had, or the few florist artist classes I've had, the vase is about a half or less, and the arrangement is at least a full bit more than this. Now, you may have more training than me, and that's good too. This is a hoot, isn't it? Aren't you going to love making this? It's called French horn, and I'll show you how we do that before we get started. But let's get started with our vase first. So what I've done is taken the time to put a piece of paper, and I've marked it with, because I've done the oval, I have marked it at about 1/4 of an inch, and then I have laid this out all the way around. I've also taken the time to divide this in as close to half as I could, and the other direction too, so that I would know where the top of my vase is. These are very light and made to be erased. Let me show you how this would look if you don't have round or paper like that. What I've done here is do this on a square, and I think it's just as fun and just as lovely. I've made the outline, I've made the vase, and then I've made, which is Quib, and then I have made this very, very sweet French horn. And these are both, or this is new from Headquarters just recently from Zen Again, which I was very lucky to be able to go to and get all new inspiration from my colleagues and from Headquarters. So I'm going to work with my pencil a bit more here, because with Quib you want to lay out your vase or whatever first. And I'm going to try to have this be equal distance in pencil, and I've made myself the smallest little division, trying to eyeball what that is. And then I'm going to do the same thing down below. So I'm going to run this pencil down here, run this pencil eyeball down here, so that I can lay out the top and bottom of my vase. You can probably hardly see that, and it's just the way I want it. Okay, so this is just going to be a giant C. I'm going to come down below, over, and back. And in pencil, things are made to be changed, so no worries about that. The same thing, I'm going to make a C down below. Hard to work slow. Very hard. The next thing I want to do is in pencil, I'm going to outline where I want this vase, the body of the vase to be. And I'm going to have this be a rounded vase. Though again, you can see this one is quite a bit wider than the other. Because again, I'm working in pencil, I can make that a little bit wider and know that I can change it, but to me that looks pretty close. It's not Mary Poppins perfect. When you're doing Quib, I'm going to alternate between my 01 and my 005, because I want some, this is a small piece here, and I want some very thin lines and I want some thicker lines. Let's look at a version of this that I did. This is a very wide line in the middle, and then I've got some very thin lines on either side, and so that's where I might switch myself off. I thought about doing this with you, this flux, and I'm leaving it up here in case you want to try it. I just thought this was real cute, but it's hard to control up here especially, so I didn't think I wanted to do that with you today. That said, that you could do it. Okay, so I'm going to start with my 01 pen, and I'm going to make a really long, very wavy line down the middle. It's my base line to get me started. Then I'm going to make a second line, aura, the first line, wide. A lot of the lines I'm going to tether, which means they're going to be tight at the top and tight at the bottom. This not so much, obviously. And then I'm going to do a second aura line here, very tight and close. Keep in mind your pencil or pen, either one, has a mind of its own. I'm going to do the second one over here. And then, because I'm afraid I might lose track of this, I'm going to go ahead and put lines in here right now. Before I forget, I'm doing this. I found on the job, it is better just to complete a whole thing before moving on. Otherwise, I get real tangled. Now, I'm going to use a thicker pen because I happen to have it. And if you don't, no worries. But I'm going to use my 05 because I want to darken every other one of these, like Knightsbridge, like a checkerboard. So I think you got the idea, and I will meet you at the end. There we are. Isn't that sweet? It is so pretty. So I'm going to use my thinner pen because I want to do the hollibaugh method. The hollibaugh method is where you go underneath, so you'll have to lift your pen. So I'm going to start right up here and let my pen just drift as it wants to, in and out. If I go beyond my pencil line, that's okay too. This one I'm going to tether, which means I'm going to start tight at the top and tight at the bottom. Isn't that sweet? So I might do a series of orbs in this one. I'm going to have to go underneath here and eyeball where it's going to come out. Can certainly do more with this. Keep your work in front of you. It matters. And if you're like me, it's time to relax your shoulders. Tend to get a little too tight sometimes. Too intense in my project here. And maybe I'll just put a tiny dot in each, just for interest. You could certainly do more or less with this. You could do a little bit of darkening behind. Your call. Let's add a couple more. So I'm going to start over here this time. Again, letting my pen drift as it will. I'm going to come down underneath 2 this time and way out. And a second aura line tethered to the top and the bottom. Wide and then back to narrow. I'm not sure. Maybe this one I will do a series of sticks. Looks real cute. This one is going to come way out again and kind of go inside my vase. My vase structure is what I meant to say. And back in. Maybe a second one. I have room. Yours is going to look very different. Please have faith in that and know it's going to be just fine. Another that I like to do is I've done dots, I've done slashes, I've done hollibaugh. Maybe I will do some just plain dots in this one. That would be cool. Look how cool that is. I gotta get my work in front of me. Otherwise, it will look weird. I need to be able to see what I'm working on here. And I think maybe one over here, swinging out, back, maybe way over here this time. Tethered, wasn't quite tethered, but close. And I don't know how full I want to fill this. I can fill this with water or whatever I like later. I can, that needs a little more there. Do all sorts of fun things with this. How about just scallops inside? I like that too. A little bit, and then I have room for some beads. I want to do some bead lines. That's what this is going to look like here. Look at my bead lines. So all it is a long line that I added black perfs, is what Zentangle calls them. And I'm just going to add a couple in here. Again, wherever my pen wants to go. And these are single lines. So I really have no reason to aura them. They're just bead lines. And they can just travel around as they choose. Cute, cute, cute. Another one here maybe. I'll let that come out here. Trying to let my pen be wonky and just work at its own little pace. Sometimes you do have to stop and look and say, well, what do I have here? And what might I do with it? I don't mind a little space here, but I do think I'll close it up just a bit. I'm going to work from the bottom this time just because I thought about it. And I think I could add some bead lines here too. Maybe you'll see this differently. In fact, I hope you do. That's what Zentangle is made of. Things that people came, a different idea that people came out with. It's what makes it fun for all of us, is to see your ideas and the way you see it. And that might be quite enough. So I'm going to darken along the outside edge of my vase with my pen. Then I need to move back to that safety pin. And I need to turn my work to do that. So what I'm going to do is darken around the bottom of the safety pin. And then I'm going to go behind each of these, which is now why you see why I wanted to do my patterning as I go, so that I'd be able to tell where I'm doing this. Now, if you want to get that 5 out again to darken this area, it's not a bad idea. And I think you got this, so I'll meet you at the end. I'm going to do the same thing at the other end. So we will be finished with top and bottom vase when we return. There. Didn't that turn out beautifully? So yours, of course, is quite different. You have added a different amount of all of these cute little strings wherever you like. Now, I would like to create some version of a base to this now that I've got the interior, which is really what this amounts to. So I've got a couple examples to show you and think about. So this one, I've laid a couple of layers up and no room for layer below. But you can see how all I've done is made a large C and then put a couple of smaller ones inside with a ribbon of white, which I think is quite cool looking. Let me show you this one. I think this is so much fun. Look. So I've had enough room to make these like half pineapples, crescents, and this was able to mirror top and bottom, and that's quite fun too. And then let's see, this is a little different again. I like the base on this being like this, and then this looks like the top. So this is also a very fun idea. It isn't exactly, you know, sturdy, but I think it's okay. So let's see what we can do with this. Everybody's is going to be different depending on how much room you have. And I'm going to make a little dot here so that I can aim for this. So I'm going to use the outside edge here. Come along. And that also, see, gives me a bit of a stop area. And then maybe I'll come here, come around on my C, and meet in the middle. And that would be enough for many of us. You could easily put a second row with another C here. I'd suggest you take your time with this. If you get my drift, working fast is going to get you something that you may or may not like. You might be fast though, and a lot of us are. Now this one I want to do a little differently. I'm going to have this to aim for. I'm going to come along here and make this, that actually went a little shy, didn't it? And see, I'm making this smaller each time so that it looks like it's a vase within the vase. Sweet. I think that's cute. That turned out really, really nice. You could extend it more, but it needs a pad to sit on, right? So here, I don't have that much room. So what I'm gonna do is this kind of a, just a wavy line inside. But you've seen my cool examples, so you can make this your own and make it quite different. I am excited to get started on the French horn pattern, which was just released by our lovely Zentangle headquarters. Goes like this. If you've done Muka before, then you've got it already. I'm going to make a huge long C, bring it around like Muka, almost close it off, but not quite. Come back on itself and then expand. And then you're going to aim for this dot here, where you started. And you can make that flat, or you could make it come in as much as you like. And then on mine, I'm going to do a series of little C's here and make it like it has a hat on it. I don't know why. This is a total whimsical pattern. And then you see I just make smaller and smaller ones and then tie it off. And this will be very easy to shade, so we'll do that at the end, and I think you'll see how. No worries. And I'm going to make these in different directions. So I am going to start with one in the middle, and you don't have to have these come to a point. You can have a bit of space between them if you like. But I am going to try to make this one fairly on the tall side. This is my centerpiece here. Bring it around, almost tie it off, back, and in. Cute, cute, cute. I love it. Okay, I'm going to make one and one each direction. And I have some filler here. And one in the other direction. Come back. I think these are just as cute as they can be for no good reason. I'm just having fun. Okay, I have room for another here. Maybe I'll even make it start from over on this side. Does that make sense to you? I hope. Bring it out. Go underneath like hollibaugh. Come back. You probably noticed I didn't put the hat on. I'll do that at the end of all of these. It's a lot easier for me to figure out what's going on. And let's see, I'm sure that I can do a couple out this way. So let's make that happen. These babies are going to go a little closer. I hope you're laughing with me. This is just the silliest thing. It is so cute, though. And I think that that does a nice layering. If I was a, which I'm not, but if I was a florist, I would want to have these in like a fan. And I think I'll put the hats on before I go any further. The hats are going to be all different. I'm just calling them hats for, you know, for reference. I can make these spin either direction. So please know that if you can start lower and come back further or not, this will be as you choose, of course. This is very individual and very fun to do and fun to shade too. Gosh, I almost feel like I want to put faces on these, but that would be even weirder. You could. Just have some fun with this, right? I think kids would probably love to do this with you. If you have grands or somebody around that you want to show how to do your project, that's the beauty of Zentangle, is that once you've done it, not only can you replicate it, but you can easily demonstrate it to others so that they can be part of your journey too and ask you, and if they ask you, what did you do? It'd be very easy for you to demonstrate. We were at a restaurant with those kinds of paper across them, and I had just learned how to do this, and I just laid it out on the paper on the table for my husband because I had just learned how to do it. Now I'm going to do some baby's breath in here. Make a long stem, got a lot of room. Make some skinny little sticks off of it and some dots. Add if you need to, just like you would if you were making an arrangement. I'm going to make another one here because I can. You see, I'm barely letting my pen touch the surface. Just like you're putting floral picks in. I don't know if you're comfortable with that or not, but on paper, everything's possible, right? Dot. Maybe you'll have a situation where you need to go behind. How cute would that be? Just am in love with this. I hope you are too. Okay, it's time to get that way cool border on. So I have made my cheat lines all the way around, and they are either to aim for or to kind of play in and out the window. So do as you see fit, but kind of loosen your hands, loosen your arms so that you can really wonk this out. Ribbons are, and you see I'm going to have a broken ribbon here. There's just no way. And that's okay. I would rather have a broken ribbon. Just waffling in and out. You can use those like I just did for my pen to rest. But the beauty of Zentangle, as I've already said and you're aware of, is that they're made to be changed, and so are pencil lines. And whatever you're doing with your drawing out there, it's going to be different than mine, and I love that part. So I've gone around once, and you saw the sample that I did, where I did the flux around here, and you could easily at this point do this instead if you wanted. I love how this has a bowed look, and I put a lot of black, as you can see on here, and then I shaded in here so that it definitely has a curved look to it. So, but this time I'm going to follow through with my ribbon tangle, which is doodah. And if you're crossing a single line, don't have to worry about that. You can go alongside like that. That's a very fun way to create a ribbon. Know that your pen has got a mind of its own sometimes. So be sure to allow that to happen. I am trying, as you can see, to make these fairly wide. And if they don't end up fairly wide, it's going to be just fine. I'll be able to show you both of those examples of how this could work out. Oh, isn't it fun? I love it. Okay, doodah is like this. So you have a line and a line secondary to doodah. This is in case you haven't seen it before. But all it is you're making a stick up that does not connect to the other end. And then a stick down that does not connect. And back and forth and back and forth. Like that. It is so darn cute. I really love this pattern. I hope you do too. Okay, so I am going to show you how to do this and then probably take advantage of you and meet you at the end so that you can, I will put some music on and you can just have quiet time to do this at your own pace. I would definitely treat each of these as individual. And then we will be getting together at the end for our shading and erasing such as we have to do. When I get to a very thin one, I probably will just do sticks right down. So I will see you at the end. There. I know it turned out so darling. If you haven't already, grab your eraser. Get some of those cheat marks off. Some of them, if you miss them, don't worry at all about that because you can use them likely for some shading to help you with shading. I tried to work lightly so that you wouldn't see too much of the pencil dots and marks, but here we go. So shading, hold your pencil very much on the side. See, I'm putting it right in the palm of my hand. I'm doing it like this. And I really, because then I'm using it as a shading tool, not as a writing tool. Always keep that in mind. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get a bit of shading on either side of that major line in here. And don't bother to go over the black with your pencil because it won't show up. It's a very good idea to put your pencil so it faces in to what you're trying to shade. You saw me kind of turn my work there so that I could make that happen. Anything else, I'm going to shade underneath. Like here, I'm shading where these two come together. I'm going to do the same thing here. Shade underneath, that's already got shading, it's good. But this, either side right there. And then where I'm going to shade now is down the inside edge of this pot. This is how I'm going to give the illusion of it being rounded. And here I will shade on the inside of this also, and I'll be able to spread this out with my blender stump in just a minute. And then I want to shade inside. Watch, I'll give you my sample again. I'm going to shade in here. And I'm going to shade here. I'm going to shade here on either side of that little top notch or hat thing. Again, that's going to help give the illusion of being rounded by doing that. So no matter how big or small they are, that's what I would like you to try to do. Get your shading here and a little bit here. A little bit goes a long way. And I prefer to do the whole thing at once. And then move to the next one. A little bit here. You see I was working very lightly each time. I can always add more. I do have my trusty eraser, so I can also take it away if I need to. The shading is a little hard to take away. Enjoy this process. This is kind of, to me, the icing on the cake, where it really will come alive for you. So if these were bigger and wider, I would shade inside here, but I guess actually it is what I'm going to try to do. I'm probably not going to be able to do both sides, and maybe by the time I get around here, I will have enough graphite on my blender stump. If yours are very small, then don't worry about how much you can do with this. It's a beautiful ribbon effect, I think. I love the way it twists itself. There, all the way around. Now, you saw on this sample, I showed you how I put that shading on the inside, and then I spread it out with my blender stump, and you can do that as well if you like. Here's a better example because this is the oval. I did a very similar thing in here. So I think that I'll do that because I really love the look of it. So let's add a little shading inside all the way around. Very much on the side of my pencil here, so that I can lay lots and lots of shade. And then this will look like it's under glass, which is really kind of what I'm trying to do here. Don't worry that you didn't get tight here. Although I did show you and tell you that it would be better if you worked your pencil toward what you're shading, but I'm just not able to do that in this case, because then my work would be too far away from me. I would end up maybe making a mess. I hope not, but it could happen. Okay, so take your blender stump, wherever that is, start wherever you like, but it's easier for me to start right here at the beginning. This does not have to wonk out your line, I mean. It can stay tight. See how that helps that come off the page? That's what I'm trying to do. And these little buggers, you're not going to get a lot out of that, but it's still a good idea because it helps this one pop off the page by putting shading underneath it. And I hope that makes some sense to you. We didn't have a lot of areas to do that with. My next area of shading was here. See, if I go right back where I was, I'm likely to remember. So if you get too much shading, remember, if your blender stump gets too full, just push like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to shake the table. And let's take care of these French horns. Work the smile, and then work that little hat. And I like to have that get a little thicker as I get to the bottom. You see, I'm working in a circular motion because on mine I have plenty of room. If you have plenty of room, then you'll be able to do that too. only wanted to do one side. If you feel you wanted to do both with shading, give it a go. Give it a try and see how that turns out. I think it might be quite lovely. Shade there. You will be left with a little bit of dark, and that's good. Push it out. Shading, this part goes really fast, pretty much, I think. And then let's finish this off here. Have a look and see what we have. Pushing, see how I'm doing, I have a lot of room on mine, and so I'm pushing that shade in. This will be the darkest, and then push it in as far as you can until it blends in with the paper and becomes white. In other words, that whole gray goes away. And doing a rounded circular motion, I believe that's also your friend. Bring it in as far as you can. If you feel you need more, just grab your pencil and add a little bit more shading. My Zentangle pencil is a 2B, which is, and sometimes people say that it's a little more than a 2B, but the point is you could use your Ticonderoga pencil if you happen to have one. I really do like to invest in a good pencil so that I get good shading. Because if I'm going to do all this work, you know, to make this gorgeous thing, then why not do this part well too? And the difference you're going to see when we're finished is like the wow, I think. At least I hope you'll agree. How fun is this? Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So I think I've mentioned to some of you before that I have a stand that I put my finished ones on for the week to enjoy. I enjoy it, and my husband does, and my friends come over and they say, well, what'd you do this week? And I can easily show them. So that is that. Didn't it turn out cool? I might do just, I have a little bit left on here. I might just darken this too. It'll have the illusion maybe of being a little toward the rounded side, maybe not, I don't know. And I didn't end up needing my mono zero this time. So everything looks gorgeous. I hope you like it too. Grab your smallest pen, whatever that is. Put your chop on here, your initials. I like to put it in some unobtrusive place that still gives everybody the intention that it's mine. So thank you very much for working with me today. I hope you enjoyed our project, and happy Mother's Day to you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Thanks again. Bye.